There's a place that once existed between desert and sea, where everything humanity ever knew was kept in silence. That place was called Alexandria, and within it, there was a library. Not just any library, but the heart of knowledge. A place where every scroll, every manuscript, every idea from every corner of the world was brought, preserved, allowed to breathe. But one night, fire came, and everything, they say, turned to ash. But was it really like that? Or is there something that history dares not tell, still there, waiting for someone to find it again? Tonight, I'll take you there, to the Library of Alexandria. Not through books, not through pictures, but through dreams, through imagination, through feeling. You'll step inside, you'll touch those ancient scrolls. You'll hear the whisper of paper. You'll smell the ink from 1,000 years ago. And when the fire starts to burn, you'll be there. You'll feel it. You'll understand. But before we begin, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening to me from? From a quiet room? From somewhere far away on this earth? Leave your time zone in the comments so I know we're traveling through time together, no matter where we are. And if you want to join me every night exploring the mysteries of history, the places that were lost, the stories never told, then hit that subscribe button, because this journey has only just begun. Now, relax your shoulders, take a deep breath, close your eyes if you want to, and imagine. You're standing on the shore of the Mediterranean Sea, wind blowing gently, salt in the air, evening sun fading, and ahead the city of Alexandria appears like a hazy dream between golden sand and blue water. You know that there, something you're searching for exists. An answer, a truth, or perhaps a part of yourself left behind from a life before. But there's one thing I haven't told you. There's a secret in the Library of Alexandria. It's not written on paper. It lies in how that library disappeared, and why, even though it burned down, it still lives on in human minds to this day. Stay with me, because halfway through this journey, I'll reveal it to you. The thing that history never dared to admit. Now then, let's begin. Championships 1. The Journey to Alexandria. You're standing on the deck of a sailing ship. The wood beneath your feet is damp from seawater. You feel the gentle sway of the boat as it moves across the water. Wind blowing through your hair. Cool. Smelling of salt. Smelling of seaweed. Smelling of an ancient world you've never known, but somehow feels strangely familiar. You look out into the distance. The horizon, where sea meets sky, is turning orange and red. Sunset is coming, and with it, the city of Alexandria. At first, you only see a point of light, small, flickering, like a star fallen to earth. But as the ship draws closer, that light grows. You realize it's the lighthouse of Pharos, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. More than 300 feet tall, built from white stone, and at its top, a massive flame burning day and night. That firelight reflects on the water, creating a path of light leading straight toward you, as if it's inviting you, as if it's saying, "Come here, find what you need." Around you, other ships are also heading to the same place. There are merchant ships from Greece, ships carrying spices from India, ships carrying silk from the distant east. Each ship carries a story. Each ship carries a piece of the world. And all of them converge on Alexandria. You hear people talking, in Greek, in Egyptian, in languages you don't understand. But the tone you understand. It's the voice of excitement, of hope, of people searching for something greater than themselves. You place your hand on the side of the ship. Rough wood, warm from the afternoon sun. You feel the pulse of the boat, as if it too is alive, also breathing, also anticipating the moment of touching shore. And you wonder, why are you here? Why, of all the places in the world, you're drawn to Alexandria? Is it because you're looking for an answer? Or because something from a past life, from a time you don't remember, left a trace here? The ship begins to slow. You hear the sound of water lapping against the dock, people shouting, ropes pulling tight. The ship stops, and you, slowly, step down. Your feet touch stone, cold stone, polished smooth by millions of footsteps before. You stand still for a moment, to feel it, to know that you've arrived. You've set foot on this land, the land that was once the center of the world. You look up. Before you is the port of Alexandria, bustling, crowded. People carrying goods, people shouting, people laughing, people arguing. The scent from baskets of spices drifts through the air. Cinnamon, pepper, turmeric, sweet fragrance from honey, smell of fresh fish from the sea, smell of leather, smell of sandalwood, all blending into a symphony of life. You walk slowly through the crowd. With each step, you feel yourself going deeper into another world, a world where time seems not to exist. Ahead, you see the city gate, two massive stone pillars standing tall. On them, carved Egyptian hieroglyphs. You can't read them, but you sense their meaning. This is where knowledge is welcomed. This is where everyone, no matter where they come from, is a guest. You pass through the gate, and suddenly the city opens before you like a living painting. Wide streets, paved with white stone. On both sides of the street are tall buildings. There are Greek columns. There are Egyptian walls. There are Persian-style vaulted roofs, all blending together. No one feels out of place. No one feels foreign. Because Alexandria doesn't belong to one civilization. It belongs to all. You look at the people passing by. There are people with fair skin, people with dark skin, people wearing Greek robes, people wrapped in Egyptian cloth, people wearing Indian turbans. Each person a world, but all of them are in the same place. You walk slowly through the market, stalls overflowing with things you've never seen. There are rolls of papyrus, jars of ink, precious stones, small statues of gods, books, so many books. Vendors wave to call you over. They speak in different languages, but their smiles you understand. They want to share. They want to show you what they have, not just to sell, but because they're proud of what they're preserving. You stop at a bookstall. The old bookseller looks at you. He smiles. He says something in a language you don't understand, but he points to the scrolls. He opens one. You look at it. Lines of writing in black ink. Clear. Careful. As if the writer spent a lifetime on each stroke. The old man explains. You don't understand the words, but you understand the meaning. This is knowledge. This is what the ancients left behind, so that those who come after, like you, can touch it. You thank him. You continue on. The sun has now set completely. Oil lamps begin to be lit along the street, flames flickering, creating dancing shadows on the walls. The air becomes cooler. Wind from the sea blows in, carrying the sound of waves from afar. You hear music from somewhere, the sound of flutes, drums, singing. Ancient melodies you don't remember, but feel familiar with. You pass through a square. There, people are sitting and talking. They're debating about philosophy, about mathematics, about the sky, about the soul. You stop to listen. Though you don't understand everything, you sense the passion. They're not speaking to win. They're speaking to find, to understand, to get closer together to the truth. And you realize, this is what's special about Alexandria. Not the tall buildings, not the wide streets, but the people. People from all over the world coming here, not to conquer, but to learn. You keep walking, and you know you're getting close. Close to where you need to be. The library. The Library of Alexandria. The place where everything you just saw, everything you just felt, is contained in one space, where knowledge isn't just stored, but honored, worshipped, like a god. And this is what you need to understand. Alexandria isn't just a city. It's an idea. The idea that when people meet, when civilizations intersect, when different languages speak of one truth, then something miraculous happens. Knowledge is born. Not from one person, not from one place, but from the meeting, from the collision, from the blending. That's why the Library of Alexandria was built, not just to hold books, but to hold a dream. The dream that someday humanity will understand everything, will know everything, and will live in peace. Because when you know, you no longer fear. And when you don't fear, you don't need war. You stop in the middle of the street. You look up at the sky. Stars begin to twinkle. So many, more than you've ever seen. Because here, there are no electric lights, no smog, just the clear sky and the stars. The stars that the ancients looked at, named, studied, and wrote about. In books, in the library, waiting for you to find. Do you feel yourself there? Do you feel the Alexandria wind blowing through your hair? Do you hear people talking in ancient tongues? If you do, if you're seeing that image appear in your mind, then leave a small comment. Just write, yes, so I know we're walking this path together, stepping into a world that time has forgotten. And now, we're ready. Ready to step toward the place you've been waiting for since the journey began. The library. The Library of Alexandria, where every secret is waiting, where the answer, or perhaps more questions, lies quietly in the darkness. Follow me. We're almost there. Chapter 2. Before the library gate. You turn a corner, and there it is, like something that shouldn't exist in the world of mortals. The Library of Alexandria. Your breath catches. Not because of its size, though it's massive. Not because of its beauty, though it's breathtaking. But because of what it represents. Everything. All human knowledge, all human dreams, all human questions, contained within those walls. The building rises before you in layers, white marble columns stretching toward the sky, each one carved with such precision that they seem to glow in the lamplight. The steps leading up are wide, so wide that 50 people could walk side by side, and they're worn, smooth, polished by countless feet over countless years. Scholars, students, kings, philosophers, dreamers, all have walked these steps, and now you're about to join them. You stand at the bottom, looking up. The entrance is framed by two enormous pillars. Between them, darkness. Not the darkness of night, but the darkness of depth, of mystery, of all the things you don't yet know but are about to discover. Above the entrance, carved in Greek letters, are words. You can somehow read them, though you've never learned ancient Greek. They say, "The place of the cure of the soul," and you feel it. Something inside you that's been aching, that's been searching, recognizes this place. Around you, others are also arriving. A man in a white toga carrying a scroll under his arm. A woman with dark skin and golden jewelry speaking to a companion in a language that sounds like music. A young boy, maybe 12 years old, clutching a wax tablet, eyes wide with wonder. Each person pauses at the bottom of the steps. Each person takes a moment, as if they need to prepare themselves for what they're about to enter. You take your first step. The stone is cool beneath your bare foot, solid, ancient. You can feel the weight of it, not just the physical weight, but the weight of time. This stone has been here for hundreds of years. It will be here for hundreds more. It doesn't care about your small life, your small worries. But somehow, that's comforting, because it means that what you're about to touch, what you're about to learn, is bigger than you. It existed before you. It will exist after you. And for this moment, you get to be part of it. You take another step, and another. Each one feels deliberate, intentional, like a ritual, like you're not just climbing stairs, but climbing out of your everyday life and into something sacred. The sound of your footsteps echoes, soft, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. You're aware of your breathing, slow, deep. The air here feels different, cleaner, charged with something you can't name. Halfway up the steps, you pause. You turn and look back. From here, you can see the city spread out below, the harbor with its ships, the lighthouse in the distance, still burning bright, the streets with their lamps, the people moving like streams of water. It all seems so far away now, so small, as if you've already crossed into another realm, a realm where the physical world matters less, and the world of ideas matters more. You continue climbing. Your legs are starting to feel the effort, but it's a good feeling, like you're earning this. Like the knowledge waiting inside isn't just given freely, but requires something from you. Effort, dedication, the willingness to climb when it would be easier to stay below. Finally, you reach the top. You stand before the entrance, the two massive pillars on either side of you. You reach out and touch one. The marble is cool, smooth. Your fingers trace the carved patterns, vines, leaves, stars, all interconnected, as if the artists wanted to show that everything in nature, everything in the cosmos, is connected. Just like the knowledge inside connects everything humanity has ever wondered about. And then you see him, standing in the doorway. An old man. He's wearing a simple robe, undyed wool, natural color. His beard is long and white. His face is lined with wrinkles, each one telling a story of years spent reading, thinking, questioning. But his eyes are young, bright, alert. They look at you not just at your surface, but deeper, as if he's reading you the way he reads books. He doesn't speak at first. He just looks. And you feel exposed, like he can see all your doubts, all your fears, all the reasons you think you might not be worthy to enter. But then, slowly, he smiles. And the smile is kind, understanding, as if he knows exactly what you're feeling, because he felt it too once, long ago, when he first came here. He speaks. His voice is soft but clear. It carries in the still evening air. "Why have you come?" he asks. Not in an accusatory way, but in a way that suggests this is the most important question. More important than your name. More important than where you're from. Why have you come? You think about it. Why have you come? For knowledge, yes. But what kind of knowledge? Facts? Dates? Names? No. It's deeper than that. You've come because you want to understand. You want to know why things are the way they are. You want to know if there's meaning, if there's purpose, if there's something more than just waking up, living and dying. You want to know if anyone before you has found answers, or at least better questions. You open your mouth to speak, but you're not sure what words will come out. And then you say, simply, "I want to know what's true." And as soon as you say it, you realize it's the most honest thing you've said in a long time. Maybe ever. The old librarian nods, slowly, thoughtfully, as if weighing your answer, as if deciding whether you're ready. And then he says, "Truth is not a thing you find. It's a journey you take. And it never ends." He pauses. But if you're willing to walk that path, then you may enter. He steps aside. The doorway is open now. The darkness beyond beckons. Like a forest, full of secrets. Like the ocean, full of mysteries. You take a breath. You step forward. And as you cross the threshold, you feel it. A tingling, a shift. As if you've just passed through an invisible membrane between the world outside and the world inside. And the old man says one more thing as you pass. Remember this. Knowledge doesn't come to those seeking answers. It comes to those who know how to ask questions. His words echo in your mind. Questions, not answers. Questions. You're inside now. Just inside. The entrance hall. It's dimmer here. The lamplight from outside doesn't reach far. But ahead you see more lamps, more light, drawing you forward. The floor beneath your feet is mosaic, tiny tiles creating images. You look down. There's a picture of the world. The Mediterranean Sea in the center, lands around it. Some you recognize, some you don't. And at the edges, the tiles fade into darkness, representing the unknown. The place is not yet mapped, the questions not yet asked. The walls are lined with niches. In each niche, a small statue. Gods, goddesses, thinkers, poets, scientists, all watching over those who enter. All reminding you that you're standing on the shoulders of giants, that everything you're about to learn, someone worked a lifetime to discover, someone suffered for, someone died for. This isn't just information. This is legacy. You walk slowly forward. Your footsteps echo in the space. You can hear others too, soft murmurs, pages turning, someone coughing quietly. But it's not silent. It's full of sound. The sound of thinking, of wondering, of learning. You realize that silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of focus. And then you see it. Through an archway ahead, the main hall, the heart of the library. You can't see it fully yet, just glimpses. Shelves rising high, scrolls, so many scrolls. More than you can count, more than you can imagine. Each one containing worlds, waiting for you. But before you go further, you pause. You need to take this in. You need to remember this moment. Because something inside you knows, this is important. This is a turning point. Before you entered, you were one person. When you leave, you'll be someone else. Changed, transformed. By what you see, by what you learn, by what you become. Here's what you need to understand. This library wasn't built just to store books. It was built to challenge an idea. The idea that some people are meant to know and others are meant to remain ignorant. The idea that knowledge should be hoarded, protected, kept from those deemed unworthy. Alexandria said no to that. Alexandria said knowledge is for everyone, from every land, every language, every background, if you seek it. If you're willing to climb the steps, if you're willing to ask the question, then it's yours. That's why this place is dangerous. Not because of what's in the books, but because of what happens to people who read them. They start to think. They start to question. They start to imagine a world different from the one they were given. And those in power, those who want to keep things as they are, they fear that. They fear the library. They fear you, once you've been changed by it. But that's a thought for later. Right now, you're here, you're inside, and ahead of you lies everything. Every story ever told, every discovery ever made, every question ever pondered. And it's waiting. Waiting for you to take the next step. To walk through that archway, to enter the main hall, to begin your journey through the greatest collection of knowledge the ancient world has ever known. Do you feel your heart beating faster? Do you feel that mixture of excitement and nervousness, that sense that you're about to discover something important? If you're feeling that, if that image is appearing in your mind, then leave a comment. Just write yes, so I know you're still with me, still walking this path, still ready to go deeper. Because we're about to step inside, into the heart, into the place where every scroll, every text, every fragment of wisdom from across the known world has been gathered. And what you're about to see will take your breath away. The door is opening now, slowly, like the curtain rising on the greatest show you've ever witnessed. Are you ready? Then follow me. Let's step into the light. Chapter 3. Inside the Repository of Knowledge. You step through the archway, and time stops. Not metaphorically. It actually feels like time has ceased to move, because what you're seeing before you is so vast, so overwhelming, so impossible that your mind can't quite process it. The main hall of the Library of Alexandria stretches before you like a canyon, like a cathedral, like the inside of the universe itself. Shelves, thousands of shelves, rising from floor to ceiling. And the ceiling, it's so high you can barely see it in the dim lamplight. Maybe 40 feet, maybe 50, maybe more. Each shelf is packed, crammed, overflowing with scrolls. papyrus rolls in their cylindrical cases. Some are pristine, their cases painted with bright colors, reds and blues and golds. Others are old, their cases faded, cracked, held together by leather straps. But each one, each single one, contains something. A story, a theory, a record, a dream, a question that someone, somewhere, once asked. The smell hits you next. It's overwhelming, but not unpleasant. Old paper, aged papyrus, ink, cedar wood from the shelving, beeswax from the candles, dust. But not the dust of neglect, the dust of age, of time passing, of centuries settling into corners. There's also something else, a smell you can't quite identify. Maybe it's the smell of knowledge itself, of thoughts crystallized into symbols, of human consciousness preserved beyond the body that created it. The light is soft, golden, flickering. There are oil lamps everywhere, on stands, in wall sconces, on reading tables. Each flame dances slightly in the air currents, making shadows move across the walls like living things. The light doesn't reach everywhere. There are pockets of darkness between the shelves, places where the lamplight can't penetrate. And somehow, that makes it more mysterious, more inviting. Like there are secrets hiding in those shadows, waiting to be discovered. You stand still for a moment, just breathing, just being. Your eyes try to take it all in, but can't. It's too much, too vast. Where do you even begin? How do you approach something like this? It's like standing before an ocean and being told to count the drops. Like standing under the night sky and being told to name every star. It's impossible. And yet, people do it. They try. Because the trying itself is the point. You take your first step into the hall. The floor here is stone, but covered with rugs in some places. Woven rugs from Persia, you think. They muffle your footsteps, make your movement feel softer, quieter, as if even the floor is asking you to be gentle, to respect what's here. Around you, other people are present, but not many. Maybe 20 or 30 in this vast space, each one absorbed in their own world. A man sitting at a table bent over a scroll, his finger tracing the lines as he reads, his lips moving slightly. Another person, a woman, standing before a shelf, running her hand along the scroll cases, reading the labels, searching for something specific. A young scholar with an armful of scrolls, carefully carrying them to a reading desk. Everyone moves slowly, deliberately, as if they understand that rushing here would be sacrilege. You walk forward, slowly, your eyes moving from shelf to shelf. You see labels written in Greek, in Egyptian, in Latin, some in languages you don't recognize. You realize that this isn't organized the way modern libraries are. It's not alphabetical, it's not by subject, at least not in a way you understand. It seems almost organic, as if the scrolls have found their own places, as if the library itself is a living thing, and these scrolls are its organs, its blood, its breath. You reach out. Your hand hovers for a moment before one particular scroll case. It's calling to you. You can't explain how or why, but it is. The case is old, very old. The wood is dark, almost black. There are symbols carved into it. Not Egyptian hieroglyphs, not Greek letters. Something else, something older. Your fingers touch the case. It's smooth, cool. And the moment you touch it, you feel something. A vibration, a pulse, like touching a living thing. You carefully pull the case from the shelf. It's heavier than you expected. You carry it to a nearby reading table. The table is wooden, worn smooth by countless hands before yours. There's a lamp on the table, its flame steady and bright. You set the case down gently. Your heart is beating faster now. You're not sure why. It's just a scroll, just words on papyrus. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels important, significant. You open the case. Inside, wrapped in linen cloth, is the scroll. You carefully unwrap it. The papyrus is brittle, yellowed with age. You unroll it slowly, careful not to tear it. And there, written in ink that's faded to brown, are words, lines of text. But the language, you don't recognize it. It's not Greek, not Latin, not Egyptian, not Aramaic. It's something else entirely. The letters are beautiful, flowing, each one crafted with care. But you have no idea what they say. You look closer. There's no title, no author name, no date. Nothing to tell you where this came from or when it was written. You scan the text, looking for something familiar, a word you might recognize, a symbol that might give you a clue. But there's nothing. This is completely unknown to you, and yet it's here, in the Library of Alexandria, preserved, protected, considered valuable enough to keep. You sit back, your mind racing. How is this possible? The library collects everything, yes, from all over the known world. But this doesn't seem to be from the known world. This seems to be from somewhere else. Or when else. You look around, wondering if you should ask someone, but everyone is absorbed in their own studies, and something tells you that this discovery is meant for you alone, at least for now. You lean forward again, this time not trying to read the words, but to feel them. You let your eyes unfocus slightly. You let your mind quiet. And then, something strange happens. You start to sense meaning. Not specific words, but impressions, feelings. It's as if the text is communicating not through language, but through something deeper, something more fundamental. You get the sense of great age, of vast distance, of knowledge that came from, you don't know how to describe it, from somewhere beyond the edge of the known, from dreams maybe, from visions, from that place between waking and sleeping where truths sometimes reveal themselves. And suddenly you understand something. This is the secret, the first secret. Not all the knowledge in this library came from human experience in the way you think of it. Not all of it came from observation, experimentation, logical deduction. Some of it came from other places, from intuition, from inspiration, from those moments when someone, somewhere, somehow knew something they shouldn't be able to know, and they wrote it down, and it was preserved, here, in this library, waiting for someone like you to find it. You carefully roll the scroll back up, wrap it in its linen, place it back in its case, and return it to the shelf. But you're changed now. You understand that knowledge isn't just accumulated, it's also received. From where? From the universe itself, maybe. From the collective unconscious of humanity. From God, or gods, or the fabric of reality. It doesn't matter what you call it. What matters is that it exists. And this library, this magnificent collection, contains not just what humans have learned, but what humans have been given. You walk deeper into the hall, past more shelves, past more scrolls. You see ones labeled with famous names: Aristotle, Euclid, Herodotus. You see ones about mathematics, astronomy, medicine, poetry, philosophy, history. Every field of human inquiry is represented here. but now you're looking at them differently. You're wondering, how many of these contain knowledge that came from that other place? How many of these writers were not just thinkers, but receivers, channels for something greater? You come to a section where several people are gathered. They're discussing something, debating. You get closer to listen. They're arguing about the nature of the cosmos. One man insists the Earth is at the center. Another argues, no, the sun must be at the center. A third suggests that maybe there's no center at all, that the universe is infinite, boundless, with no beginning and no end. They're passionate but respectful. Each listens to the others. Each considers the arguments. No one is trying to win. They're all trying to get closer to truth. And you realize this is what the library is really for. Not just to store information, but to create a space where ideas can meet, collide, merge, evolve. It's not a tomb for dead knowledge. It's a womb for new understanding. Each person who enters brings their own perspective, and when those perspectives interact, something new is born, something that didn't exist before. You move on, deeper still. The hall seems to go on forever. You pass reading rooms, small alcoves where a single person can sit in solitude with a text. You pass a courtyard, open to the sky, where someone is copying a scroll by daylight. The scribe's hand moves carefully, forming each letter with precision. You realize that every scroll here has been copied many times. That's how they preserve them. Not by locking them away, but by reproducing them, by ensuring that if one is lost, others remain. You find yourself in a quieter section. Fewer people here. The shelves are older, dustier. These are the forgotten texts, the ones that no one reads anymore. But they're still here, still preserved, because the library's philosophy is that you never know when knowledge might become relevant again. What seems useless today might be crucial tomorrow, so nothing is discarded. Nothing is judged unworthy. Everything is kept. You run your hand along a shelf. Your fingers brush the scroll cases, and you think about how much is here, how much has been gathered. From Egypt, from Greece, from Persia, from India, from lands even farther east, from the past, from the present, and some, like that strange scroll you found, from places and times you can't name. All of it here. All of it connected. All of it part of the grand human project of trying to understand. And here's the lesson, the small reward for making it this far. Knowledge is not meant to be hoarded. It's not meant to be kept in one place, controlled by one group, accessible to only a chosen few. Knowledge wants to flow. It wants to spread. It wants to be shared. Because knowledge doesn't die when it's given away. It multiplies. One person learns, teaches another, who teaches two more, who teach four more, and on and on. That's how it survives. Not through protection, but through proliferation. That's why this library exists. Not to lock knowledge away, but to gather it together so it can be freely accessed, freely shared, freely multiplied. But there's a dark side to that lesson, and you're beginning to sense it. If knowledge is dangerous to those who want to maintain power, then this place is the most dangerous place in the world, because it's a beacon, a symbol, a declaration that knowledge belongs to everyone. And there are those who can't allow that, who will do anything to stop it. And that's why you're beginning to understand. This place is doomed. But not yet. Right now, in this moment, it's alive. It's thriving. It's fulfilling its purpose. And you're part of that. By being here, by reading, by learning, by carrying what you learn back out into the world. You're part of the mission, part of the dream. You find a bench, you sit, you close your eyes for a moment, and you listen, really listen, to the sounds of the library, the soft scratch of pens on papyrus, the whisper of scrolls being unrolled, the quiet footsteps, the occasional cough, the distant murmur of discussion, the crackle of lamp flames. It all blends into a symphony, a song, the song of human curiosity, of the endless quest to know. And you feel grateful. Grateful that you lived in a time when this place exists. Grateful that you were allowed to enter. Grateful that for this moment, you're connected to every person who ever wondered why the stars move, how the body heals, what makes something beautiful, whether the soul is immortal, where we came from, where we're going, what it all means. Stay with me now, because there's more. There's someone you need to meet, someone who holds the key to understanding what this place really is, and what's going to happen to it. The secret is about to deepen. The mystery is about to unfold further. Because what you've discovered so far is just the beginning. There are layers beneath layers, truths beneath truths, and we're only just starting to peel them back. Take a breath. Open your eyes. Look around one more time at this impossible, beautiful, fragile collection of everything humanity has ever known. Because soon, very soon, things are going to change. The light is going to dim. The shadows are going to grow. And the secret, the real secret, is about to be revealed. Chapter 4. Meeting the Secret Keeper. You stand up from the bench. Something is pulling you. You don't know what, but you feel it. The sense that you need to go somewhere, deeper into the library, away from the main hall, into the places where fewer people go, where the light is dimmer, where the oldest, most forgotten knowledge sleeps. You follow that feeling, walking between the shelves, taking turns without thinking, left, right, straight, down a narrow corridor. The sounds of the main hall fade behind you. The air grows cooler, damper. You're going underground, you realize, into the basement levels, the foundation of the library, where the oldest texts are kept, the ones that require the most careful preservation, the ones that are too fragile to be handled by just anyone. The lamps are fewer here, spaced farther apart. Your shadow stretches long and distorted on the stone walls. You pass alcoves filled with clay tablets, ancient Sumerian texts, older than anything else in the library. You pass sealed jars. Inside them, you know, are papyri from Egypt's earliest dynasties, records of pharaohs whose names have been forgotten by everyone except those who guard these rooms. And then you see him, in the farthest corner, sitting at a small desk, illuminated by a single oil lamp. An old man, so old that at first you think he might be a statue. He's completely still, his head bent over a scroll, his hand holding a reading stick, used to follow lines without touching the delicate papyrus. He's wearing a simple robe, undyed linen, natural beige. His hair is white, long, tied back. His beard reaches his chest. But it's his face that catches your attention. It's deeply lined, each wrinkle a river carved by time. But the lines aren't just from age, they're from expression, from a lifetime of reading, of thinking, of carrying knowledge that weighs more than stone. You approach slowly. Your footsteps echo softly. He doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge you. For a moment you wonder if he's even alive. But then you see his hand move slightly, adjusting the reading stick, following the next line. He's reading, deeply absorbed. You wait.
Interrupting someone's study is a kind of violence. Knowledge requires concentration, focus, and breaking that focus is like shattering glass. So you stand, quiet, patient, watching the lamp flame flicker, listening to your own breathing, feeling the cool air on your skin. Finally, after what feels like an hour but is probably only a few minutes, he speaks, without looking up. His voice is soft, raspy, like wind through dried leaves. "Why have you come here?" he asks. Not, "Why have you come to the library?" but, "Why have you come here? To this specific place, this forgotten corner, this room where the dead languages sleep?" You think about the question. Why did you come here? You followed an impulse, a feeling. But why? "I don't know," you say honestly. "I felt like I needed to." He nods slightly, still not looking at you. "Good," he says. "Those who come for reasons they understand are looking for answers. Those who come for reasons they don't understand are being called. And the called ones, they're the ones who truly see." He finally looks up. His eyes meet yours, and you gasp, softly, because his eyes, despite his ancient face, are young, clear, bright. The color is hard to determine in the lamplight. Brown maybe, or green, or gold, or all three. But what strikes you isn't the color, it's the depth. Looking into his eyes is like looking into a well that has no bottom, like looking at the night sky. You could fall into those eyes and keep falling forever. "Sit," he says, not a command, an invitation. He gestures to a stool near his desk. You sit. The wood is hard, worn smooth by countless others who've sat here before you. You wait for him to speak. He rolls up the scroll he was reading, carefully, precisely, places it back in its case, sets it aside. Then he folds his hands, looks at you, really looks at you. "What's your name?" he asks. You tell him. He nods. "I won't remember it." They all blur together now. He pauses. "But I'll remember your eyes. I remember eyes, because eyes tell me whether someone is ready." "Ready for what?" you ask. "For the truth that hurts," he says. "For the knowledge that changes everything. For the secret that, once known, cannot be unknown." He leans back slightly. "Are you ready for that?" You're not sure, but you nod anyway, because you've come this far. Because turning back now would feel like betrayal. Of what, you're not sure, but betrayal nonetheless. He smiles, sad and kind at once. "You don't know what you're agreeing to," he says, "but that's all right. No one ever does. We stumble into truth. We don't march into it deliberately." He's quiet for a moment, thinking, deciding how to begin. Then he says, "Let me ask you something. Why do you think this library exists?" "To preserve knowledge," you say. "Yes," he says. "But why preserve it? For whom?" "For everyone," you say. "For the future." "Good,"
he says. And do you think we've succeeded? You look around at the thousands of scrolls, at the centuries of accumulated wisdom. Yes, you say, this is the greatest collection of knowledge in the world. He nods. It is, he agrees. But here's what you need to understand. This library will not last. Your heart sinks. What do you mean? I mean, he says carefully, that it will be destroyed, burned, not once but many times, by different people, for different reasons, but always for the same underlying cause. Fear. You feel cold suddenly. Fear of what? Fear of knowledge, he says. Fear of what happens to people when they learn, when they question, when they imagine different ways of being. Those in power, they need people to be predictable, controllable. And knowledge makes people unpredictable. It makes them ask why things are the way they are. It makes them wonder if things could be different. Processing. He continues. The first fire will come soon, within a generation. It will be called an accident, a battle, collateral damage. But it won't be. It will be deliberate. They'll burn the section near the harbor, a quarter of the collection. Gone. Just like that. But, you say, struggling to understand, if you know this, can't you stop it? He smiles sadly. You can't stop the inevitable, he says, but you can prepare for it. And that's what we've been doing. For years. Quietly. Secretly. We've been copying. Copying? Every scroll in this library, he says, has been copied. Multiple times. The copies have been sent out to other libraries, to private collections, to monasteries, to places scattered across the world. Places they won't think to look. So when they burn this building, when they destroy these scrolls, the knowledge won't die. It will survive, in other forms, in other places, in the minds of those who read the copies. You feel a mix of emotions, relief, sadness, admiration. So the knowledge survives, you say. Yes, he says, but at a cost, because the copies won't all be preserved perfectly. Some will be lost. Some will be mistranslated. Some will be misunderstood. The network of knowledge will break. It will take centuries, maybe 1,000 years, maybe more, for humanity to rebuild what will be lost here. But it will rebuild, because knowledge, true knowledge, is like water. You can dam it. You can divert it. You can evaporate it temporarily, but you can't destroy it. It always finds a way back. He leans forward, his eyes intense. And here's the real secret, the deepest one, the one that matters most. This library, these scrolls, they're not the real repository of knowledge. They never were. You're confused. What do you mean? He taps his chest. The real library exists in the people who read them, who think about them, who argue about them, who apply them, who pass them on through teaching and storytelling and example. That's the library that can't be burned. That's the library that's immortal. You feel tears in your eyes. You're not sure why. Maybe because what he's saying is both beautiful and tragic. Beautiful because it's true. Tragic because it means all of this magnificent building, these thousands of scrolls, are temporary, ephemeral, destined for fire and ash. So what do we do, you ask? What's the point of preserving anything if it's all going to burn? We preserve it, he says, so that before it burns, people can read it, learn from it, absorb it, carry it inside them. Every person who reads a scroll and understands it becomes a library themselves, a walking, breathing, living library. And when they teach another person, that person becomes a library too. That's how knowledge really spreads, not through buildings, not through paper, but through human connection, mind to mind, heart to heart, generation to generation. He reaches out, takes your hand. His skin is dry, papery, but warm. You asked what you should do, he says. Here's what you do. Remember. That's all. Just remember. Remember what you've learned here. Remember what you felt here. Remember that knowledge is a gift, meant to be shared, not hoarded. Remember that truth matters more than comfort. Remember that asking questions is more important than having answers. Remember that every person you meet might be carrying a piece of wisdom you need, just as you might be carrying a piece they need. Remember all of this. And when you leave here, when you go back to your time, your place, wherever that is, carry it with you. Share it. Pass it on. Be a living library. You're crying now, openly, not from sadness exactly, from something deeper, from recognition, from understanding, from the weight of what he's asking you to carry. He squeezes your hand gently. I know, he says, it's a heavy responsibility, but you can bear it. All humans can. We're built for it. We're meaning-making creatures. We're knowledge-carrying creatures. It's our nature, our purpose, the thing that makes us human. He releases your hand, leans back. Now, he says, you should go. Go back to the main hall. Read, learn, absorb as much as you can. You don't have much time. None of us do. The fire is coming. Maybe not tonight, maybe not next year, but it's coming. And when it does, what you carry inside you will be one of the few things that survives. You stand. Your legs feel weak. Your head is spinning. You have so many more questions. But you know he's done talking. He's given you what he can. The rest is up to you. You bow slightly, a gesture of respect. He nods in acknowledgement. And then, just as you're about to leave, he says one more thing. Oh, and one more thing. The real tragedy of the library burning, it's not the loss of the scrolls. It's the loss of the idea that knowledge should be free, should be shared, should belong to everyone. That idea will die here. And it will take a very, very long time to be reborn. That's what we're really preserving. Not facts, not data, but the belief that every human being deserves access to truth. Remember that, most of all. You nod, unable to speak, and then you turn, walk back through the dimness, up the stairs, back toward the main hall, back toward the light. But you're changed, fundamentally altered, because now you know. This beautiful place is doomed. The knowledge will survive, but scattered, fragmented, hidden. And the idea that brought it all together, the radical, revolutionary idea that knowledge belongs to everyone, will be buried for centuries. But it will come back, eventually. Because ideas, like knowledge, can't truly die. They hibernate. They wait. And when the time is right, they re-emerge. Someone, somewhere will rediscover the idea, will build it anew. Maybe not a physical library, maybe something else. But the spirit, the intention, the dream, it will live again. And you'll carry it. Inside you, a small flame, a tiny seed, a fragment of light. And maybe, just maybe, you'll pass it to someone else. And they'll pass it to someone else. And slowly, the network will rebuild. The web of shared knowledge will be woven again. Not exactly as it was, but something new, something evolved, something even better. Do you feel it? Do you feel the weight of what you've just learned? Do you feel your heart both breaking and expanding at once? If you're feeling calmer now, if you're feeling a strange peace despite the sadness, just write the word calm in the comments. Let me know you're still here, still with me, still ready to go deeper. Because we're not done yet, not even close. There's still so much to see, so much to understand, so much to carry with you when this night is over. Chapter 5. The Scholar's Dream. You return to the main hall, but everything looks different now. The same shelves, the same scrolls, the same lamplight, but you see it all with new eyes. Eyes that know this is temporary. Eyes that understand what's at stake. Every scroll you pass is precious now, not just for what it contains, but because its days are numbered. Because fire is coming. Because all of this will one day be ash. But not yet. Not tonight. Tonight it's alive. And you need to experience it fully, to drink it in, to absorb every moment. Because when it's gone, this will be all you have. The memory, the feeling, the sense of what it was like to stand in the presence of everything humanity had achieved up to this moment in history. You hear voices coming from one of the reading rooms off the main hall. Not whispers, actual conversation, animated, passionate. You move toward the sound, maybe 10 or 12 people, all engaged in intense discussion. Some are standing, gesturing with their hands. Others are seated, leaning forward, listening intently. On the table are scrolls, wax tablets, drawing instruments, a celestial globe, an abacus, tools of inquiry. You stand in the doorway, watching, listening. A man is speaking. He's maybe 40 years old, dark skin, Egyptian, you think. He's pointing to the celestial globe, tracing the path of the planets with his finger. But you see, he says in Greek, if the Earth is at the center, then why do the planets move backward sometimes? Why do they loop? It makes no sense unless... He pauses, thinking. Unless they're moving around something else, something we can't see. Another person interrupts, a woman, younger, maybe 30. She's from somewhere east, India perhaps. Her accent is different. Or, she says, unless what we're seeing is relative. If the Earth itself is moving, then what appears to be backward motion is just an illusion, a matter of perspective. A third voice, an old man, Greek, white beard. He shakes his head. Impossible. If the Earth were moving, we would feel it. We would be thrown off. Objects would fly away. It's basic natural philosophy. But what if, says a younger man, maybe 25, What if the Earth is moving so smoothly, so constantly, that we don't feel it? Like being on a ship. When the ship moves steadily, you don't feel the motion, only when it changes speed or direction. The room erupts in discussion, multiple people talking at once, but not arguing in anger, arguing in excitement, in the thrill of ideas colliding, of possibilities opening, of the edge of understanding being pushed just a little bit further. You step into the room. No one stops you. No one asks who you are. In this space, anyone can join. Anyone can contribute. That's the unspoken rule. If you're interested, you belong. You find a spot along the wall. You lean against it, and you listen. They move from astronomy to mathematics. Someone poses a problem. If you have a right triangle, and you know the length of two sides, how do you find the length of the third? One person jumps up, grabs a piece of charcoal, draws on the wall. Right there on the wall, no one objects. The walls here are covered with calculations, diagrams, theories sketched out in the heat of discussion. Square this side, he says, drawing. Square this side. Add them. The sum equals the square of the hypotenuse. Always, without exception. But why? Someone asks. Why does it work? And they're off again, exploring, questioning, not satisfied with knowing that it works, needing to understand why. That's what strikes you. These people aren't memorizing facts, they're investigating reality. They're trying to understand the underlying principles, the deep structures, the reasons why things are the way they are. The conversation shifts. Someone brings up medicine. I observed something, says a middle-aged man, physician by the look of him. When someone has a fever, their heart beats faster. Always. Every time. Why? What's the connection between heat and heartbeat? Maybe, suggests someone else, the heart is trying to cool the body. By pumping blood faster, it distributes the heat, like how water flows faster when heated. Or, says another, maybe the fever is caused by the heart beating too fast. Maybe it's not effect, but cause. How would we test it? Asks the physician. How would we know which is right? And they discuss methodology, how to observe, how to measure, how to eliminate other factors, how to design an experiment that would give a clear answer. You realize you're watching the birth of the scientific method, right here, in this room. These people are inventing how to think. You look around at their faces, people from everywhere. You see different skin colors, different clothing styles, different accents when they speak. But here, in this room, none of that matters. What matters is the question. What matters is the pursuit of truth. A Persian mathematician can disagree with a Greek philosopher, and it's not about their countries or their cultures. It's about the ideas. Just the ideas. Pure. Uncontaminated by politics or power or prejudice. And you realize something profound. These people aren't different from you. They're not less intelligent because they lived 2,000 years ago. They're not primitive or simple or naive. They're humans. Fully human, with the same capacity for wonder, the same curiosity, the same drive to understand, the same frustration when things don't make sense, the same joy when pieces finally fit together. Time hasn't changed human nature. We've always been this. Questioners, seekers, meaning makers. One of them notices you, a young woman. She smiles. You've been quiet, she says. Do you have thoughts? You're startled. You weren't expecting to be included. I'm just listening, you say. Learning. The best way to learn is to question, she says. What are you wondering about? You think. What are you wondering about? So many things. But one question rises to the surface. All of this, you say, gesturing to the scrolls, the globe, the calculations on the wall. All this knowledge, what's it for? I mean, why do you do this? What's the purpose? The room goes quiet. They look at each other. Then the Egyptian astronomer speaks. Because, he says simply, we're human. Humans need to know. It's not optional. It's not a luxury. It's as necessary as food and water. We need to understand our place in the cosmos. We need to know how things work. We need to make sense of our existence. Without that, we're just animals. Eating, sleeping, reproducing, dying. Knowledge is what makes us human. And, adds the Indian woman, because knowledge helps us. Medicine helps us heal. Astronomy helps us navigate. Mathematics helps us build. Philosophy helps us live well. Knowledge isn't, it is life. The examined life. The intentional life. The life lived with awareness and understanding. But also, says the young man, because it's beautiful. Truth is beautiful. Understanding is beautiful. When you finally grasp why the planets move the way they do, or why certain herbs heal certain ailments, or what makes a piece of music moving, there's a feeling, a profound satisfaction that nothing else provides. It's like touching the mind of God, or the mind of the universe, or whatever you want to call the fundamental order of things. You nod. You understand. You feel it too. That hunger, that need to know, that sense that understanding matters, that truth matters, that we're not here just to exist, but to comprehend our existence. The Greek philosopher stands. He's been quiet for a while. Let me show you something, he says. He goes to a shelf in the corner, pulls out a scroll, unrolls it on the table. It's a map, but not like any map you've seen. It shows the entire known world. The Mediterranean at the center, Europe to the north, Africa to the south, Asia to the east, and beyond the known lands, question marks, empty spaces. We made this, he says, by collecting reports from travelers, sailors, merchants. We asked them, what did you see? How far did you travel? What's there? And we compiled it. This is the sum of human geographical knowledge, right here, on this piece of papyrus. You look at the map. It's remarkably accurate. Not perfect, but impressive for its time. The coastlines are recognizable. The major cities are marked. But these empty spaces, you say, pointing to the edges, what about them? That, he says, is the future. That's what the next generation will fill in. We give them what we know. They push further, discover more, add to the map, and then their children push even further. That's how it works. Each generation builds on the last. We're not trying to know everything ourselves. We're trying to create a foundation so that those who come after us can reach higher, can see farther, can understand deeper. Standing on the shoulders of giants, you murmur. He looks at you curiously. What was that? Just something I heard once, you say. It means using the knowledge of those who came before to see further than they could. He smiles. Yes, exactly that. That's our dream. That humanity will never stop learning, never stop questioning, never stop pushing at the boundaries of the known. that we'll build a continuous chain of knowledge passing from generation to generation, getting stronger and clearer and more complete as time goes on. That's what this library represents. It's not just a collection. It's a covenant, an agreement between past, present, and future. The past gives us what it learned. We build on it, and we pass it forward. Forever. The physician pulls out another scroll. "Look at this," he says. "It's filled with anatomical drawings, the human body, muscles, bones, organs. We learned this through dissection, through careful observation, through comparing what we see with what others have recorded. Every body we study teaches us something, and we write it down. So the next physician doesn't have to rediscover it. They can start where we left off, can focus on new questions, new mysteries. A mathematician shows you a calculating device, bronze gears, intricate, beautiful. This, he explains, can predict the positions of celestial bodies years in advance. You input the date, turn the crank, and it shows you where the sun, moon, planets will be. We built it using mathematical principles, ratios, cycles, geometric relationships. It works. It's precise. And anyone who understands the principles can build another. You're amazed. You knew ancient people were intelligent, but seeing it like this, seeing their actual achievements, their actual tools, their actual thought processes, it's overwhelming. They're not primitive, they're sophisticated, brilliant, limited only by the technology available to them, not by their intellectual capacity. Here's what matters, says the young woman who first spoke to you. Everything we discover, we share. We don't keep secrets. We don't hoard knowledge for ourselves or our city or our people. We put it here, in the library, where anyone can access it, because knowledge grows through sharing. If I discover something and keep it to myself, it dies with me. But if I share it, you might see something in it I missed. You might build on it, take it further, and your student might take it even further. That's how progress happens, through openness, through collaboration, through the radical idea that truth belongs to everyone. And there it is, the lesson, the reward for reaching this point in the journey. Knowledge is not meant to be stored, it's meant to be shared. It's not meant to be protected, it's meant to be proliferated. The library isn't a vault, it's a fountain. Knowledge flows in from everywhere, and it flows out to everyone. That's the dream, that's the purpose. That's what makes this place sacred. But even as you understand this, even as you feel inspired by it, you also feel sad, because you know what the old librarian told you. This dream will die. When the library burns, this idea of open, shared, freely accessible knowledge will die with it. For centuries, knowledge will be locked away, controlled, restricted to the elite. The monasteries will preserve some of it, yes, but behind walls, for only certain people. The dream of Alexandria, the dream that everyone deserves access to truth, will be forgotten until it's reborn, much later, in different forms. Universities, public libraries, and eventually the internet. The dream doesn't die permanently. It hibernates, it waits, and when humanity is ready, it reemerges. Maybe that's the real lesson. Good ideas are immortal. They can be suppressed but never destroyed. They always find their way back. You look around the room at these scholars, these dreamers, these people who believe that human beings can understand the universe, that we can heal ourselves, that we can build beautiful things, that we can live according to reason rather than fear. And you want to tell them. You want to warn them. The fire is coming. Save what you can. Copy everything. Hide the copies. Protect the knowledge. But they already know. The old librarian told you. They're already copying, already preparing, already doing everything they can to ensure that when the flames come, the knowledge will survive. They're not naive. They know what they're up against. They know that power fears knowledge. They know the risk. But they do it anyway, because it matters, because someone has to. Because if they don't preserve and share what humanity has learned, then every generation will have to start over. We'll have to rediscover everything. We'll waste precious time relearning what was already known. The conversation in the room continues. They've moved on to other topics, other questions, but you're lost in thought, thinking about what you've seen, what you've learned. How these people, 2,000 years ago, understood something that many people today still don't. That knowledge is collective. That we rise or fall together. That hoarding information makes everyone poorer, while sharing it makes everyone richer. Outside, through the windows, you notice the sky is darker. Night has fully fallen. The lamps seem brighter now against the darkness, and you feel it. A shift, a change in the air. Something is coming. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but soon. The shadow of the future is already stretching back into this moment. The fire that will consume this place is already lit somewhere, already burning its way toward here, toward this room, these people, these dreams. But for now, right now, it's still alive, still vibrant, still full of hope and possibility. And you're here, a witness, a participant, a carrier of what this meant, what it means still, what it will always mean. If you like this video, if you're feeling something as you listen to this story, comment the number 1. If you don't like it, comment the number 2. Let me know. Let me know you're out there. Let me know this matters to someone. Because that's how knowledge survives, not through institutions alone, but through individual human beings who care, who listen, who remember, who pass it on. The night is deepening, and soon, very soon, we'll need to move to the next part of this journey. The part where things begin to change, where the dream starts to crack, where reality intrudes on this beautiful, fragile moment. Are you ready? Then stay with me. Because the story is about to take a turn, and you need to be here for it. Chapter 6, The Fateful Night. You leave the room of scholars. Their voices fade behind you as you walk back into the main hall. But something has changed. You feel it immediately. The air is different, heavier. There's a tension that wasn't there before. You look around. Other people feel it too. You can see it in how they move, faster, more purposeful. Some are gathering scrolls, others are talking in urgent whispers. Something is happening. Something is wrong. You walk to one of the windows, the ones that look out over the city. And there, in the distance, you see it, an orange glow against the night sky. Fire. Not close yet, maybe a mile away, maybe more. But definitely fire. And it's spreading. You can see the glow expanding, growing brighter, moving closer. Not quickly, but inevitably. Like a tide coming in, like dawn breaking. Except this light brings destruction, not renewal. You hear footsteps, running footsteps. Someone bursts into the hall, a young man, out of breath. His face is covered in soot. The harbor, he gasps. Fighting at the harbor, ships burning. The fire is spreading to the warehouses, to the buildings near the water. He looks around desperately. It's coming this way. People freeze. For a moment, nobody moves. Nobody speaks. They're processing, understanding. And then, all at once, everyone moves. But not in panic, in purpose. They know what to do. They've prepared for this. The old librarian told you. They've been preparing for years. Someone, an older woman, takes charge. Her voice is calm but firm. "Protocol 7, she says. And immediately people respond. They move to specific sections. They start pulling specific scrolls. Not randomly. They know which ones. The most important. The most rare. The ones that have no copies elsewhere. They work with practiced efficiency. This isn't improvisation. This is a drill they've run many times, hoping they'd never need it, but ready when they did. You stand there, uncertain. What should you do? You're not a librarian. You don't know which scrolls matter most. You don't know the protocol. But then someone hands you a scroll case, a teenage boy. "Carry this," he says. "To the north door. There are carts waiting. We're taking what we can to other locations, safe locations, places the fire won't reach." He's already moving away, grabbing more scrolls. You do as he said. You carry the scroll case through the hall, following others who are doing the same. Everyone moving quickly, but carefully. No one is running. Running might mean dropping something, damaging something. Even now, even in crisis, they're protective of the knowledge they're trying to save. You reach the north door. It's open. Cool night air rushes in. Outside there are indeed carts, wooden carts, pulled by mules. People are loading scrolls into them, carefully, wrapping them in cloth, placing them gently. Each scroll treated like a precious child being evacuated from danger. You add your scroll to the cart, and then you run back inside to get more. Because even though you're not trained for this, even though you're just a visitor, you can't stand by and watch. You have to help. You have to try to save something. You make trip after trip, carrying scrolls, following the stream of people. It's like a river, a human river, flowing out of the library. Each person carrying something. Some have single scrolls, some have armfuls, some are rolling large scroll cases. Everyone doing what they can, moving what they can, saving what they can. But with each trip, you notice something. The orange glow is brighter, the smell of smoke is stronger, and the number of people working is decreasing. Some have left already, taking the loaded carts to safety. Others are still inside, going deeper, trying to reach the more distant sections. But there's a growing awareness, an unspoken understanding. We're not going to save it all. We can't. There's too much, and not enough time. You're in the main hall again. You see the old librarian, the one from the basement. He's standing in the center, slowly turning, looking at everything. His face is peaceful. Sad, yes, but peaceful. As if he's saying goodbye. As if he's accepting what's coming. You go to him. "We need to get you out," you say. "It's not safe." He looks at you, smiles gently. "I'm not leaving," he says. "But the fire, I know," he says. "I'm old. I've lived my life. I've read more than most people dream of reading. I've understood things that few get to understand. I'm at peace with my time here. But this library, these scrolls, They're my children, and I won't abandon them. I'll stay until the end. You want to argue, want to insist, but you see in his eyes that it's pointless. He's made his choice. And it's not about death. It's about love, about loyalty, about staying with what you love even when, especially when, it's dying. You understand. You don't agree, but you understand. He places a hand on your shoulder. You should go, he says. Tell others about this place. Not just what it was, but what it meant. The idea of it. Keep that alive. That's how you honor what's about to be lost. You nod, tears streaming down your face now. He wipes one away with his thumb. Don't cry for me, he says. Don't cry for the scrolls. Cry for what comes next. The centuries of darkness. The forgetting. The turning away from knowledge and toward superstition. The closing of minds. The burning of books. That's what deserves tears. But even that won't last forever. Light always returns. Always. Remember that. He turns away then, walks deeper into the library, into the shadows. And you know you'll never see him again. But you'll never forget him either. Never forget his eyes, his voice, his certainty that knowledge, though it can be suppressed, can never truly die. You make more trips, saving more scrolls, but the smoke is inside now, drifting through the corridors, making people cough, making eyes water. The fire is close, very close. You can hear it. A distant roar, like a beast, like an angry god, consuming everything in its path. Someone grabs your arm, the same young man who first gave you a scroll. We have to leave now, he says. The roof on the east side is catching. If we don't leave now, we won't get out at all. He's pulling you toward the door. You resist for a moment, looking back. There are still scrolls on the shelves, thousands of them, millions of words, centuries of thought. And they're going to burn, all going to burn. We can't save them all, the young man says, reading your thoughts. We never could. But we saved some. We saved copies. We saved the most important ones. The knowledge will survive. Not all of it, but enough. Enough to rebuild someday. He's still pulling you. And finally you let him. You walk toward the door, toward the night, toward safety. But just before you exit, you turn back one more time, and you see it. In a shaft of moonlight coming through a high window, it illuminates a single reading desk. And on that desk, open, is a scroll. You can't read it from here, can't see what it says, but in that moment, it looks like the most important thing in the world. A single scroll, open, vulnerable, about to be consumed. And you realize that's all any of us are. Open books, waiting to be read, hoping someone will understand us before we're gone. You step outside. The cool night air hits you. You cough, your lungs clearing the smoke. Around you, dozens of others, all emerged from the library, all standing, watching, waiting. The carts have mostly left, carrying their precious cargo to safety. But the people remain, unable to leave, unable to stop watching, as if staying here, being witnesses, is the last thing they can do for this place they love. And then you see it, the first flames, visible now, not just a glow, but actual fire. orange and red and yellow, dancing, leaping, crawling across the roof of the eastern wing. The heat is intense even from here, 50 yards away, and you can feel it, like standing too close to a bonfire. The fire finds the wooden beams, the dry papyrus, the perfect fuel. And it explodes, a whoosh of flame, rising into the night sky like a pillar of light. People gasp, some cry out, some just stand silent, tears on their faces, watching their world burn. Watching everything they worked for, everything they believed in, being destroyed. Not by time, not by decay, but by violence, by the deliberate act of burning. Whether it was an accident of war or an intentional act of suppression, the result is the same. Destruction, loss, the end of an era. The fire spreads quickly now, jumping from section to section. The scrolls burn hot and fast. The papyrus, so carefully preserved, now turns to ash in seconds. Thousands of years of thought, gone in moments. You think about the scroll you found, the one in the one that seemed to come from beyond the known world. Is it burning right now? Is that knowledge, whatever it was, being erased from existence? Did you witness one of the last moments of its life? More roof collapses. The sound is deafening, crashing, roaring. The fire has a voice now, loud, angry, consuming. The great marble columns begin to crack, from the heat, from the stress. One of them falls, slowly at first, then faster. It hits the ground with a sound like thunder, shattering, breaking apart. These columns that stood for centuries, that supported this temple of knowledge, now rubble, now ruins. You feel a hand slip into yours. You look. It's the woman from the scholars' discussion, the one who said knowledge is beautiful. She's crying, but she's also smiling, slightly. It's terrible, she says, but also in a way it's beautiful. Look at the light. Look at how bright it is. That's knowledge burning. That's thought being released. Maybe it's not being destroyed. Maybe it's being transformed, returning to light, to energy, to the universe it came from. You don't know if she believes that or if she's just trying to find meaning in tragedy, but you squeeze her hand because you understand the need to believe that this isn't just loss, that somehow, in some way, it means something, that the fire is transformation, not just destruction. Hours pass. You don't leave. None of you do. You watch until the fire burns itself out, until there's nothing left to burn, until the orange glow fades to red embers, until even the embers cool to gray ash. The sun rises, and in its light you see what remains. Not much. The outer walls mostly, some of the columns. Everything else is gone. The scrolls, the shelves, the reading desks, the lamps, all of it reduced to ash and rubble. But here's the truth you need to understand. Yes, much was lost. Yes, centuries of accumulated knowledge went up in smoke. Yes, humanity will have to reinvent, rebuild. It will take 1,000 years, maybe more. Dark ages will come, times when knowledge is feared rather than celebrated, when asking questions is dangerous, when thinking differently can get you killed. But the knowledge isn't dead, because knowledge doesn't live in scrolls. It lives in minds, in the minds of everyone who read those scrolls before they burned, in the minds of everyone who copied them, everyone who discussed them. everyone who was changed by them. The library is gone, but the idea of the library remains. In you, in all the witnesses, in everyone who will hear this story and feel inspired to seek knowledge, to share knowledge, to believe that understanding matters more than comfort. And here's the lesson. The reward for making it through this painful part. There are losses we cannot avoid. In life, we will lose things we love. People, places, dreams, certainties. We will watch as things we value are destroyed, and we cannot stop it. We cannot save everything. But we can choose what to carry with us. We can choose what to preserve in our hearts, in our memories, in our actions going forward. The scrolls are ash, but what they taught, what they meant, what they represented, that can live forever, if we choose to keep it alive. According to you, is everything coincidence? Or is it cause and effect? Is this tragedy random? Or is it part of a larger pattern? The fear of knowledge leading to its suppression. The suppression leading to darkness. The darkness eventually giving way to light again. A cycle, repeated throughout history. Maybe we're meant to learn from it. Maybe the lesson is that knowledge must be protected, must be shared, must be democratized, so that no single fire can ever destroy it all again. The sun is fully up now. The burned library stands like a skeleton, a monument to what was, and what will be again, someday, when humanity is ready, when the cycle turns, when light away from the ruins, back toward the city, back toward your life. But you carry something now, a weight, a responsibility, a memory that demands to be shared, to be told, to be passed on. And that is how knowledge survives. Not through buildings, not through institutions, but through story, through memory, through the human need to make meaning from loss, to ensure that those who were lost, those things that burned, are not forgotten, that they live on, in the telling, in the remembering, in the carrying forward. You're tired now, exhausted. The night has been long, the emotions overwhelming. But you're also at peace, because you understand now. You understand what matters, and what endures, and what you must do. You must remember, and tell, and keep the flame alive. Not the flame that destroys, but the flame that illuminates. The flame of curiosity, of wonder, of the eternal human quest to know. Sleep is coming soon. Your eyes are heavy. Your body needs rest. But your mind is full of images, of lessons, of understanding. Let them settle. Let them sink in. Let them become part of you, so that when you wake, you'll carry them with you into your world, your time, your life. And maybe, just maybe, you'll pass them on to someone else who needs to hear them, who needs to remember. that knowledge is light, and light cannot be extinguished, only hidden, temporarily, until someone, somewhere, strikes a match and begins to read again. Chapter 7. In the Flames. But we're not done yet. Not quite. Because there's something you need to see. Something you need to experience more fully. We need to go back. Back to that moment. Back to the fire. Not just watching from outside, if they're not already closed. Take a breath. Deep. Slow. And let yourself return. Return to the library. But this time, you're not leaving. This time, you're staying. You're walking back through those doors, back into the heat, back into the smoke, back into the moment when everything changes. Not because you want to die, but because you want to understand. Because some truths can only be learned in fire. You're inside now. The main hall. The smoke is thick, gray, swirling. It burns your eyes, makes them water, burns your throat, makes you cough. But you keep walking, deeper, toward the center, toward the heart of the library, where the oldest scrolls are kept, where the most precious knowledge rests. You can hear the fire now, not distant anymore, close, all around. The crackling, the popping, the sound of papyrus catching flame. Like thousands of voices whispering all at once. Like the library itself is speaking, crying out, singing its death song. The heat is intense. It presses against your skin like a physical force, like hands pushing you back, warning you, turn around, leave, save yourself. But you don't. You keep going. Because you need to see, you need to witness, you need to be present for this ending. Not because you want it, but because someone should. Someone should be here. Someone should see what the world is losing, should feel it, should remember it with such clarity that it can never be forgotten. You reach a reading table, one that's not burning yet. On it, a scroll lies open. You look at it. The text is in Greek, a philosophical treatise. You can read a few words, something about the nature of fire, about Heraclitus, about how everything flows, how you cannot step into the same river twice, how change is the only constant, how fire is the fundamental element that transforms all things. And here, now, in this moment, those words are being proven true. The scroll itself is about to become what it describes, about to be transformed by fire. There's a terrible poetry in that, a cruel symmetry. You watch as an ember lands on the edge of the scroll. For a moment, nothing happens. The ember glows, orange and red. Then, slowly, the papyrus begins to darken around it. Brown, then black. Then a tiny flame appears, small. So small you could blow it out with a breath, but you don't. You just watch. The flame grows, spreads, following the fibers of the papyrus, eating the words, letter by letter, line by line. The ink turns to nothing. The papyrus curls, blackens, crumbles. In seconds, centuries of thought are gone, returned to carbon, to air, to heat and light and smoke. You look up. The ceiling is burning. Wooden beams that have held firm for generations are now aflame. Fire runs along them like water, like rivers of light flowing through the air. The light is beautiful, terrible and beautiful. Orange and yellow and white, dancing, moving, alive. More alive than any fire you've ever seen, as if the fire knows what it's consuming, as if it's reveling in it, as if destruction has its own kind of ecstasy.
More scrolls catch fire, spontaneously, from the heat, from the floating embers, from the sheer intensity of the conflagration. You watch them burn, one after another. A scroll about medicine, gone. A scroll about geometry, gone. A scroll about the gods, gone. A scroll about farming, gone. A scroll about poetry, gone. Each one unique, irreplaceable. Each one containing thoughts that will now never be thought again in quite the same way. Each one a door to understanding, now closed, forever. But then you notice something. As the scrolls burn, as the papyrus turns to ash, the ash rises. It doesn't just fall to the ground, it floats, lifted by the heat, by the updraft. Tiny black fragments, lighter than air. They swirl upward, through the smoke, toward the ceiling, toward the holes where the roof is. These pieces of thought, rising, escaping, returning to the air, to the world. And you think, maybe they're not gone, not entirely. Maybe they're just changing form, becoming part of the atmosphere, part of the wind, part of the breath of the world. You remember what the old librarian said. Knowledge lives in minds, not on paper. And you understand now what he meant. Because even as you watch these scrolls burn, the knowledge they contained isn't disappearing. It's already out there, in the minds of everyone who read them, everyone who was changed by them, everyone who passed on what they learned. The scrolls are just containers, and containers can be destroyed. But what they contained, if it was truly understood, if it was truly absorbed, that lives on, in a different form, in a different place, but it lives. A column cracks near you. The sound is like a gunshot, loud, sharp. You look up. The column is marble, solid, ancient. It's held this building for centuries, survived earthquakes, storms, the weight of time itself. But fire is different. Fire changes everything. The heat makes the marble expand unevenly. Stress builds, and finally it can't hold anymore. Cracks appear, running up the length of the column like lightning frozen in stone. And then, slowly, majestically, the column begins to fall. You should run. You should get out of the way, but you don't. You stand, watching, as this monument to human achievement, this symbol of stability and permanence, comes crashing down. It falls in what seems like slow motion, time stretching, elongating. You see every moment of its descent, the way it tilts, the way pieces break off, the way it rotates slightly as it falls. And then it hits the ground. The impact is enormous. The floor shakes. The sound is thunder and earthquake combined. The column shatters, breaks into dozens of pieces, some large, some small, some reduced to powder. And you think, this is what happens to everything eventually. No matter how strong, no matter how well built, no matter how permanent it seems, everything falls. Everything breaks. Everything returns to dust. But there's beauty in the falling. There's grace in the shattering. Because in the destruction, you see what the thing really was. A column is just stone, shaped by human hands, held together by balance and gravity. And when it falls, it reveals that truth, shows that nothing was ever as permanent as it seemed, that solidity was always an illusion, that everything is temporary, everything is process,
everything is change. You walk deeper into the fire. You should be burning. The heat should be unbearable. But somehow, in this dream, in this vision, you're protected. You can walk through fire and not be consumed. You can witness without being destroyed. Because you're not really here, not physically. You're here in spirit, in imagination, in the part of you that needs to understand, that needs to see, that needs to remember. You come to the section where you found that strange scroll, the one in the unknown language. You look for it, hoping somehow it survived. But the shelves are empty, already burned, the scroll's gone, turned to ash. And you feel a pang of loss. That knowledge, whatever it was, is truly gone now. No copies were made. No one else saw it. It existed for a moment, was witnessed by you, and then ceased to be. Like a thought you had but forgot to write down. Like a dream you woke from but couldn't remember. Gone. As if it never was. And maybe that's part of the lesson too. That some knowledge is meant to be temporary. That some truths are only for certain moments, certain people, certain times. And then they pass. Return to mystery, to the unknown. Because the universe doesn't reveal everything at once. It gives what's needed when it's needed. You find yourself in the center of the main hall. The exact center. You stand there, surrounded by fire. Above you, the roof is mostly gone. You can see the night sky. Stars. Thousands of stars. Unchanged. Unconcerned. Watching this human drama with the indifference of eternity. Fires burn. Libraries fall. Civilizations rise and collapse. And the stars continue. Shining, constant, reminding you that this moment, as terrible as it is small, brief, a flicker in the vastness of time and space. But to you, right now, it's everything. This moment, this loss, this transformation. You feel it in your body, in your bones, a grief so deep, it's almost ecstasy. An understanding so profound, it's almost unbearable. You understand impermanence, not intellectually, but viscerally, in your gut, in your heart, in every cell. Everything ends. Everything burns. Everything becomes ash. And that's not a tragedy. That's just truth. The fundamental truth of existence. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Everything that arises must pass. Everything that's built must fall. Everything that burns was once something that could burn. You think about your own life, your own attachments, the things you cling to, the people, the possessions, the ideas, the beliefs. All of it, like these scrolls, temporary. All of it, like these columns, destined to fall. You hold on to them as if they're permanent, as if they'll last forever. But they won't. Can't. Nothing does. And watching the library burn, you realize that's okay. That's how it should be. Because if things were permanent, there would be no change, no growth, no transformation, no room for the new. The fire destroys, yes, but it also clears, makes space, allows for rebirth. A beam falls near you, crashes down in a shower of sparks. The sparks float upward, like fireflies, like stars being born. Each spark carrying a tiny that was once shaped into a beam to hold up a roof, that now returns to light and heat, the cycle completing. Nothing is lost, everything transforms. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only changed, from one form to another, forever. You see movement through the smoke. Someone else is here, still here, not leaving. You walk toward them. The smoke clears for a moment, and you see. It's the old librarian, the one who said he wouldn't leave. He's sitting on the floor, his back against a shelf that's not yet burning. His eyes are open, looking up at the stars through the destroyed roof. He's smiling, peaceful, content. You sit beside him. Neither of you speak. There's nothing to say. Words are insufficient for this moment, this experience, this ending. But then he does speak, quietly, his voice almost lost in the roar of the flames. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he says. "The fire, the transformation. Everything returning to light." You nod, because it is beautiful. Terribly, awfully, heartbreakingly beautiful. The way destruction can be, the way endings can be, when you stop resisting them, when you stop trying to hold on, when you let go and just witness, just be present, just accept. "I've lived my whole life in pursuit of knowledge," he says, "reading, learning, teaching, preserving. And now, watching it burn, I realize something. The knowledge was never the point. The pursuit was the point. The questioning, the wondering, the reaching for understanding. That's what makes us human. Not what we know, but that we want to know, that we keep trying to know, even knowing that we'll never know everything, even knowing that what we do know might burn. We do it anyway, because we must, because it's our nature." He coughs. The smoke is thick now, very thick, but he doesn't seem bothered. He's beyond caring about his body, about breathing, about survival. He's somewhere else already, somewhere between here. But the library was never the building, never the scrolls. It was the idea. The idea that knowledge matters, that truth is worth seeking, that understanding is sacred. And ideas can't burn. They might be forgotten for a while, for a long while, but they come back, always. Someone, somewhere will rediscover the idea, will rebuild the library. Maybe not here, maybe not in this form, but the spirit of it, the essence, that's immortal. He looks at you, his eyes clear, bright, shining with something beyond the reflection of flames. "You'll remember this," he says, "not just with your mind, but with your soul. And you'll carry it back to your time, your world. And you'll tell others, and they'll understand that what we're losing tonight is real. The loss is real. But what we're gaining is also real. Clarity, understanding, the knowledge that nothing lasts, that impermanence is not the enemy, it's the nature of reality. And once you truly accept that, you're free. Free to love without fear of loss, free to build without fear of destruction, free to learn without fear of forgetting. Because you understand. It's all temporary. And that's what makes it precious. His hand finds yours, squeezes gently, and then he closes his eyes. His breathing slows, becomes shallow, becomes quiet, and then, after a few moments, stops. He's gone, passed from this world, surrounded by his beloved books, by his life's work, by everything he loved, burning, transforming, returning to light. And his last expression is peace, complete, total, absolute peace. The peace of someone who lived fully, who loved deeply, who understood truly, and who let go gracefully. You sit with him for a while, holding his hand, letting your tears fall. Surrounded by what we love, at peace with the impermanence, ready to transform, ready to return, ready to become light once more. Eventually, you stand. You can't stay much longer. The fire is everywhere now. The smoke is overwhelming. Your time here is ending. You take one last look around at what was the Library of Alexandria, at what is now a cathedral of flames, a temple of transformation, a monument to impermanence. And you feel grateful. Grateful you got to see this. Grateful you got to understand. Grateful for the lesson, the hard, beautiful, terrible lesson, that everything ends. And that's not a curse. That's not a failure. That's just how it is, how it must be, how it should be. You walk toward the exit, toward the door, toward the outside, toward air and breath and life continuing. As you walk, you pass the burning shelves, the falling beams, the collapsing walls, and you whisper to the spirits of the scrolls, to the ghosts of the knowledge, to the essence of what this place was. Thank you, you whisper. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for showing me. Thank you for being, even if only for a while, even if ending in fire. Thank you. And maybe, just maybe, you hear a whisper back. From the flames, from the smoke, from the very air itself. You're welcome. Now go. Live. Remember. And when it's your time to burn, to transform, to return to light, do so with grace. Do so with peace. Do so with understanding that this is not the end, just a change, just a transformation, just the eternal cycle continuing, as it always has, as it always will. You step outside into the cool night air, into breath that doesn't burn, into a world that continues despite this ending. You're changed, fundamentally, permanently, by what you witness. New understanding, new beginnings. The fire burns on behind you, but you've seen enough, learned enough, carried enough. Now it's time to let it go, to release it, to move forward into whatever comes next, carrying the lesson, carrying the understanding, carrying the light that cannot be extinguished because it burns not in buildings or books, but in hearts and minds and souls. Rest now. You've been through much, seen much, understood much. Let it settle. Let it sink deep. Let it become part of who you are, so that when you wake, you'll be different, wiser, more accepting of change, more at peace with impermanence, more ready to love and build and learn and let go, all of it, all at once. Because that's what it means to be alive, to be human, to be a carrier of light in the darkness, even temporary light, especially temporary light. Chapter 8. After the Ashes. You wake, or rather you return, from the deep place where you went while the fire burned, while the old librarian passed, while the world you knew transformed into something unrecognizable. You open your eyes. The smoke is less now, thinner. The sky is beginning to lighten. Dawn is coming. The long night is ending. And with the light comes the reckoning, the accounting, the seeing of what remains. You're sitting on the ground outside the library, or what was the library. You don't remember sitting down. Don't remember leaving the building after finding the old librarian. But you must have, because you're here, alive, breathing, though your throat is raw from smoke. Your eyes burn. Your skin feels tight from the heat. But you're here. You survived. Though part of you didn't. Part of you died in that fire. The part that believed in permanence. The part that thought anything could last forever. That part is ash now. Gone. And in its place, something new. Something harder and softer at once. Hours, maybe, while the fire finished its work, while the flames consumed everything they could reach, while the building collapsed into itself, while the night passed. You turn, face the ruins, and in the growing light of dawn, you see it, what's left, what remains. After everything, not much. The outer walls, some of them, blackened, cracked, still standing, but barely, like tombstones, marking what was. A few columns, 3, maybe 4, still upright, alone now, without the roof they once supported, without the shelves they once protected. Just standing, solitary, defiant, refusing to fall even though everything around them has. And rubble, so much rubble. Stone, ash, twisted metal from the lamp holders, fragments of burned wood. And everywhere, covering everything, a layer of gray, the color of ash, the color of endings, the color of transformation completed. The smell is overwhelming, acrid, bitter, the smell of burned paper, burned wood, burned dreams. It coats the inside of your nose, your throat. You can taste it, this ending, this loss, this transformation. It's physical, undeniable, real, not metaphor, not symbol, but actual destruction, actual ending, actual death of something that was alive. You walk closer to the perimeter, to where the entrance used to be. The great doors are gone, burned away. The threshold you crossed with such reverence, now just a gap in the wall. A mouth, open, empty. You step through, into what was the main hall. Your feet crunch on debris, ash and stone and fragments of things you can't identify. You look up. The sky is visible, clear. The roof is gone, completely. What was enclosed is now open. What was protected is now exposed to wind, to rain, to time, to decay. The library has become a ruin, and ruins belong to the weather, to nature, to stand in the presence of what was lost. They move slowly, carefully, through the rubble. Some are crying, silent tears running down ash-smudged faces. Some are just standing, staring, unable to process, unable to accept, unable to understand how something so solid, so permanent, so important could be reduced to this, to nothing, to ash and air and memory. You recognize some of them. The woman from the scholars' discussion, the one who said knowledge is beautiful. She's kneeling, her hands in the ash, letting it run through her fingers, like sand, like time, like everything that can't be held. A young man, the one who gave you scrolls to carry. He's standing before a collapsed shelf, just standing, as if standing there could somehow undo what happened, could reverse time, could restore what was burned. But it can't, and he knows it. But he stands anyway, because what else can you do? When the world ends, you stand, you witness, you remember. You walk to the center, where you stood in the fire, where you sat with the old librarian. His body is gone, removed already by the others, taken to be honored, to be mourned, to be laid to rest with the dignity he earned through a lifetime of service to knowledge. The spot where he sat is marked by flowers. Someone brought flowers, white lotus blossoms, from the Nile, placed them there, on the stone, in the ash. A small beauty, a small kindness, in the midst of devastation. You sit there, where he sat, where he died, and you feel it, his presence, his peace, his acceptance. It's still here, in this place, in this ash, in this morning light filtering through where the roof once was. He understood, before the fire, during the fire. At the moment of his death, he understood that everything is temporary, that clinging causes suffering. In the deepest part of your being that knows without needing words, the sun rises higher, the light strengthens, and in that light, you see something you didn't see before. Movement in the ash. You look closer, and there, pushing up through the gray, is green, a tiny shoot, a plant, a weed maybe, or maybe something more, something that was dormant, waiting, its seed buried in the ground beneath the library, surviving the fire, protected by the earth, and now, in the aftermath, in the ash-enriched soil, it's growing, reaching toward light, toward life, toward continuation. And you understand. This too is the lesson, that destruction feeds creation, that endings enable beginnings, that from ash comes growth. It's not metaphor, it's biology, it's ecology, it's the fundamental law of nature. Nothing is wasted, everything transforms. The scrolls burned, their papyrus returned to carbon, their ink to minerals. And that carbon, those minerals, they feed the soil, feed the plants, feed new growth. The knowledge they contained is gone, but the matter they were made of continues, becomes something else, something new. The cycle never ends, only changes form. More people arrive as the morning progresses, as word spreads through the city. People who worked here, people who studied here, people who loved this place. They come to mourn, to grieve, to say goodbye. But also, you realize, to gather, to be together, to find each other. Because when something is lost, when community is shattered, the survivors seek each other, need each other, to confirm that yes, this really happened, and yes, we're still here, and yes, somehow, we'll continue. They begin to talk, quietly at first, then more openly, sharing memories, sharing stories. Someone mentions a scroll, a particular text, about astronomy, and someone else says, "I remember that one, I read it," from the imprint it left on their minds. And others join in, adding details, correcting, clarifying, and slowly, impossibly, the scroll lives again. Not on papyrus, but in conversation, in shared memory, in the collaborative remembering of people who cared enough to pay attention, to really read, to truly understand. This happens again and again. Someone mentions another text, another scroll, and others remember it. And together they rebuild it. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. Enough to preserve the core, the essence, the most important parts. You watch this, listen to this, and you realize this is how knowledge really survives, not through buildings, not through institutions, but through people, through human minds linked in conversation, in teaching, in shared remembering. The library burned, but the library lives in these people, in their memories, in their willingness to share what they know. A woman stands, one of the senior librarians. She's older, gray-haired, her face lined with sorrow, but also determination. "We knew this could happen," she says. Her voice carries in the open space, in the absence of walls and roof. "We prepared. We made copies. We sent them to other cities, to other libraries, to private collectors, to monasteries, to places of learning across the known world. Not everything was saved, but much was. Much will survive. And what wasn't copied, what exists only in our memories now, we must write down again. We must reconstruct. We must preserve in ourselves what we can no longer preserve on scrolls." She pauses, looks around at the gathered people. "The library was never just a building," she continues. "It was an idea. The idea that knowledge should be gathered, should be shared, should be accessible to anyone who seeks it. That idea didn't burn, can't burn. It lives in us. And as long as we carry it, as long as we act on it, the library survives. In a different form, in a distributed way." Some openly weep. But there's also something else. A resolve, a determination, a refusal to let this be the end. The building is gone. The scrolls are ashes, but the mission continues. The work continues. The dream continues. Because humans are not done learning, not done questioning, not done seeking. That hunger, that need, that fundamental human drive to understand. It didn't die in the fire. Can't die. It's part of what makes us human. And as long as humans exist, that hunger will exist. And that hunger will create new libraries, new collections, new ways of preserving and sharing what we know. You stand. You want to say something, want to contribute, but you're not sure what. You're not from here, not really. You're a visitor, a witness from another time. But you feel part of this community, part of this moment. So you speak, hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence. I saw, you say. I saw the old librarian in the fire before he died. He told me that the real library is in people, in hearts and minds, not in scrolls. And watching all of you now, sharing memories, reconstructing texts, committing to continue the work, I see he was right. The library didn't die. It transformed. It became distributed. It became all of you, all of us, carrying pieces of it. And together, we carry the whole. The woman who spoke before looks at you, smiles sadly. You knew him, she says. Not a question, a statement. He was my teacher, my mentor. He taught me that knowledge without wisdom is dangerous, that facts without understanding are useless, that the point of learning is not to fill your head with information, but to transform your heart with understanding. He lived that teaching, and he died living it, refusing to leave, staying with what he loved. That's wisdom. That's how a life should end. The nod is enough. The understanding is shared, without words, the way deep truths often are. In silence, in presence, in the space between people who have witnessed something together, something that changed them, something they'll carry forever. The gathering continues, people sharing, people remembering, people committing to what comes next. Plans are made. Some will go to other cities to check on the copies that were sent, to ensure they were received, were preserved. Others will stay here, will begin the work of rebuilding. Not the building necessarily, but the community, the network, the system of sharing knowledge. Still others will write, will record from memory what they can, will create new manuscripts, new scrolls, to replace some of what was lost. And you realize, this is resilience. This is how humans respond to catastrophe, not with despair, or not only with despair, but also with determination, with creativity, with the refusal to let loss be the final word. We lose things, terrible things, important things, things we loved, and we grieve deeply, truly. But then, eventually, we rebuild. Not exactly what was lost, that's impossible, but something new, something that honors what was lost while also moving forward. That's the human story. Loss and rebuilding, destruction and creation, death and birth. Over and over, endlessly. The cycle that never stops. According to you, is this coincidence? Or is this cause and effect? Is this tragedy random? Or is it the inevitable result of forces that fear knowledge? Forces that want to control information? Forces that see education as dangerous? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither. Maybe it's just what is, what happens, what must be accepted, and what must be responded to, not with bitterness, not with revenge, but with renewed commitment to the ideals that the library represented, to openness, to sharing, to the belief that knowledge is a gift meant for all, not a weapon to be hoarded, not a tool for control, but a light to be passed from hand to hand, from mind to mind, from generation to generation, until everyone can see, until everyone can understand, until everyone can know. The sun is high now, midday approaching, the heat increasing, the ash drying, beginning to blow away, scattering, dispersing, into the air, into the world. Maybe that's right too. Maybe the ash needs to scatter, to spread, to carry the essence of what burned to new places, new people, new possibilities. Nothing is lost. Everything transforms. The library is in the wind now, in the soil, in the air we breathe, invisible, intangible, but present, always present, for those who know how to see, how to feel, how to remember. You look at the people around you, these survivors, these carriers, these witnesses, and you feel connected to them, across time, across space, across the gulf of centuries that separates your time from theirs, because grief is universal, loss is universal, and so is resilience, so is hope, so is the human capacity to go on, to rebuild, to remember, to honor what was while creating what will be. You're not alone in this understanding. You're part of a lineage, a tradition, a chain of humans stretching back to the beginning and forward to the end. All of us learning, all of us losing, all of us carrying on. If you're feeling something now, if this story is touching you in a place words usually can't reach, if you're understanding not just with your mind but with your whole being, then just write the word calm in the comments. Let me know. Let me know you're still here, still listening, still feeling, still willing to carry this forward. Because that's all any of us can do. Carry forward what we've learned. Share it. Pat people leaving, going to their homes, their tasks, their lives that must continue despite loss, despite grief, despite the world being different than it was yesterday. You should leave too, should return to your time, your place, your reality. But you linger for a few more moments, standing in the ruins, feeling the sun, the wind, the solid ground beneath your feet, feeling alive, feeling grateful, feeling changed, fundamentally, permanently, by what you've witnessed, by what you've learned, by what you now carry inside you. You take one last look at the rubble, the ash, the standing columns, the green chute pushing through, the flowers marking where the old librarian died, the empty sky where a roof once was. And you say goodbye. not out loud, but in your heart. Goodbye to the Library of Alexandria. Goodbye to what was. Hello to what comes next. The future. Unknown. Uncertain. But also full of possibility. Full of potential. Full of the chance to build something new. Something better. Something informed by the lesson of loss. That everything is temporary. And that's what makes it precious. That's what makes it matter. That's what makes it worth building, worth preserving, worth passing on, even knowing it won't last forever. Especially knowing it won't last forever. You turn, walk away, through the ruins, through the ash, through the morning light, back toward the city, back toward the harbor, back toward the ship that will carry you home. But you're not the same person who arrived here. That person died in the fire, along with the old librarian, along with the scrolls. And who you are now, this person walking away from the ruins, is someone new. Someone shaped by loss, by fire, by transformation. Transforming forever. Chapter 9. The Invisible Legacy. You're on the ship now. The one that will take you away from Alexandria. Away from the ruins. Away from the ash. The sails are raised. The wind is filling them. The ship is moving, pulling away from the dock, from the harbor, from the city that changed you. You stand at the rail, looking back, watching as Alexandria grows smaller, distant. The lighthouse still burning, constant, faithful. But the library is invisible from here. Just another part of the city, another cluster of buildings. You can't see the ruins, can't see the ash, can't see what was lost. From this distance, everything looks normal, unchanged, as if nothing happened, as if the world didn't end last night. But you know, you carry the knowledge, the memory, the understanding inside you, where it can't be seen, where it can't be measured, but where it's real nonetheless. More real than anything you can touch, more permanent than any building. Because buildings fall, bodies die, but what you understand, what you've learned, what you've witnessed, that becomes part of you, woven into your being, inseparable from who you are. And it will stay with you for the rest of your life, informing your choices, shaping your perspective, changing how you see everything. The ship moves farther, the coastline fading. Soon Alexandria will be out of sight completely. Just a memory, just a story, just something that happened once, in a time that feels increasingly dreamlike. Did you really walk through those halls? Did you really touch those scrolls? Did you really sit with a dying librarian while the world burned? Or was it all a dream, a vision, a story your mind created to teach you something you needed to learn? Does it matter? Real or imagined, the impact is the same. You're changed, and that change is permanent. You close your eyes. Let the sea breeze cool your face. Taste the salt. Hear the water against the hull. Feel the movement of the ship, and you let yourself drift. Not into sleep, but into a different kind of awareness. a deeper vision, a seeing that transcends time and space. And in that seeing, you watch. You watch what happens next. Not next for you, but next for the world, for the knowledge, for the legacy of what burned. You see the scrolls that were saved, the copies that were made, being carried to other cities, other lands, to Baghdad, to Cordoba, to Constantinople, to monasteries hidden in mountains, to private libraries of wealthy collectors, scattered, dispersed, like seeds carried by wind. And in those places they're read, studied, copied again, translated, from Greek to Arabic, from Arabic to Latin, from Latin to local languages, spreading, mutating, evolving, like living things, like ideas that have their own life, their own will to survive. Some of the knowledge is lost in translation. Meanings shift, interpretations change, errors creep in. Copying by hand, generation after generation, things get garbled, confused, mixed up. But the core remains, the essential insights, the fundamental discoveries. Mathematics doesn't change in translation. 2 + 2 = 4 in every language. The Pythagorean theorem works whether you call it by that name or another. Truth has a resilience, a way of surviving, even when the words that describe it change. You see centuries pass, the fall of Rome, the rise of Islam, the preservation of Greek philosophy by Arab scholars, the medieval monasteries where monks copy manuscripts by candlelight, preserving, protecting, not always understanding what they copy, sometimes copying texts they consider heretical, dangerous, but copying them anyway, because the rule is to preserve, even what you disagree with, even what challenges your beliefs. The knowledge must be saved, even if it's dangerous, especially if it's dangerous. You see the Renaissance, the rediscovery, the explosion of interest in ancient texts, the printing press, Gutenberg's revolution. Now books can be copied not one at a time, but hundreds at a time, thousands at a time. The knowledge accelerates, spreads faster, reaches more people. The elite can no longer control it, can no longer gatekeep. The cat is out of the bag, the genie out of the bottle. And everything changes. Science flourishes, art explodes, philosophy challenges authority. The Protestant Reformation, the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment, all of it, rooted in the rediscovery of knowledge that was preserved despite attempts to suppress it. And you trace the line back to the Library of Alexandria, back to the scholars who copied texts before the fire, back to the old librarian's foresight, his understanding that the building would burn, but the knowledge could survive. If only people would carry it, distribute it, spread it so widely that no single fire could destroy it all. He was right. His plan worked. Not perfectly. Much was lost. Centuries were wasted. But enough survived. Just enough. Just barely enough to seed the future. To make the Renaissance possible. To make the modern world possible. You see universities, libraries, schools rising across the world, in every country, in every city. The idea reborn, transformed. No longer a single great library, but thousands of small ones, millions of books, accessible not just to scholars, but to everyone. Public libraries, free, open, funded by communities, by governments, by people who believe that access to knowledge is a right, not a privilege. The dream of Alexandria democratized, distributed, made real in a way the ancients could never have imagined. And you see the internet, the digital age. Information no longer bound to paper, to physical objects, but existing as data, as ones and zeros, as electrical signals, as light through fiber optic cables, traveling at the speed of light, accessible from anywhere, from a computer in your home, a phone in your pocket, a tablet in your hands, the sum of human knowledge, not in one building, but in the cloud, distributed across millions of servers in data centers around the world. No single fire can destroy it. No single tyrant can burn it, because it exists everywhere and nowhere. The ultimate evolution of the librarian's dream. Knowledge so distributed that it can't be suppressed, can't be controlled, can't be destroyed. But you also see the challenges, the problems, the dark sides. The internet flooded with misinformation, with lies, with propaganda, with noise drowning out signal. Too much information, too little wisdom. Data without understanding, facts without context. People overwhelmed, confused, unable to tell truth from fiction. Knowledge without the framework to interpret it. Information without the education to use it wisely. The library is everywhere, but so is the garbage. And telling them apart requires skill, requires training, requires the very education that's being defunded, devalued, dismissed as unnecessary in an age when you can Google anything. And you understand, the Library of Alexandria didn't just preserve scrolls. It preserved context. Librarians who could guide, scholars who could teach, discussions where ideas were debated, tested, challenged. Knowledge wasn't just stored. It was curated, interpreted, made meaningful. And that's what's often missing now. The curation, the interpretation, the wisdom to know what matters and what doesn't, the discernment to separate truth from lies, the education to think critically, to question, to analyze, to understand not just what, but why. The old problems remain, just in new forms. Those who fear knowledge still try to suppress it, not by burning libraries now, but by defunding schools, by banning books, by attacking education, by sowing doubt about science, about facts, about truth itself. The tactics change, but the underlying fear remains when they question authority, when they imagine different ways of living. Those in power still fear the enlightened masses, still prefer the ignorant and compliant. The battle that was fought in ancient Alexandria is still being fought, every day, in every place, in every time. But so is the resistance. Teachers teaching despite low pay and political attacks. Librarians preserving books despite pressure to censor. Scientists pursuing truth despite funding cuts and death threats. Journalists reporting facts despite accusations of fake news. Students learning despite the cost and the debt. All of them, inheritors of the Library of Alexandria. All of them, carrying forward the mission, the dream, the commitment to knowledge, to truth, to the belief that enlightenment matters, that understanding is worth pursuing, that thinking is not just allowed, but essential. You open your eyes. You're still on the ship. The coast is gone now, only ocean, endless blue stretching to the horizon. And sky, endless blue above, and you between them, small, temporary. A brief flicker of consciousness in the vastness of time and space, but connected. Connected to everyone who came before, everyone who preserved knowledge, everyone who taught, everyone who learned, everyone who questioned, everyone who sought truth despite the cost. You're part of that lineage, that tradition, that unbroken chain stretching from the first human who wondered why the sun rises, to the last human who will ever ask a question. All of us connected. All of us part of the same project, the human project, the quest to understand. And you realize, this is the invisible legacy. Not in buildings, not in books, not even in bytes of data, but in people, in the commitment that passes from generation to generation, the commitment to seek, to question, to learn, to share, to teach, to preserve, not because it's profitable, not because it's safe, but because it's who we are. It's what makes us human. It's our purpose, our meaning, our gift to each other and to the future. The old librarian lives on, not in his body, that's ash, but in everyone he taught, and in everyone they taught, and in everyone those people taught. A chain of influence spreading outward forever. Like ripples from a stone dropped in still water, expanding, touching everything, changing everything, invisibly, quietly, but profoundly. That's the real immortality. Not living forever, but having an impact that does. Teaching something that gets passed on. Sharing something that becomes part of the collective wisdom. Adding your small piece to the infinite puzzle of understanding. You think about your own life. What will you pass on? What will be your contribution to the invisible legacy? You don't have to write great books. Don't have to make grand discoveries. Don't have to build monuments. You just have to participate in the sharing, in the learning, in the teaching. Read something and understand it? Share it. Learn something and value it? Teach it. See something beautiful or true or important? Point it out. That's all. That's enough. Each small act of sharing knowledge is a brick in the invisible library. The library that spans all of humanity, all of time, all of consciousness. The library that can never burn because it's not made of matter, but of mind. The ship rocks gently. The rhythm is soothing, hypnotic. Your eyes grow heavy. Real sleep is coming now. Not the visionary state, not the dream walking, but actual rest. Your body needs it. You've been through much, seen much, felt much. You need to integrate, to let it sink into your bones, your cells, your deepest being, so that when you wake, it will be part of you, not something you remember, but something you are. But before you sleep, you understand one more thing, the most important thing, the final lesson, the ultimate about the law that governs everything. What you do matters. What you preserve matters. What you share matters. Not in some abstract way, but concretely, really. The scrolls that were copied in Alexandria, those specific actions by specific people, changed the course of human history, made the Renaissance possible, made the modern world possible, made you possible. You exist, in part, because those people did that work, copied those texts, preserved that knowledge, protected it from fire and time and the forces that wanted to suppress it. And what you do now, in your time, will ripple forward, will affect the future in ways you can't predict, can't control, can't even imagine. But it will matter. Every act of learning, every act of teaching, every act of creating, every act of preserving, every choice to seek truth instead of comfort, to ask questions instead of accepting easy answers, to think instead of just react. All of it matters. All of it shapes what comes next. You're not powerless. You're not insignificant. You're a link in the chain. And the chain is only as strong as each link. Your link matters. Your contribution matters. You matter. That's the cause and effect. That's the karma. That's the law. What you sow, you reap. What you preserve survives. What you share multiplies. What you learn changes you. And you changed the world. Invisibly, quietly, but truly. The Library of Alexandria didn't fail. It succeeded because it inspired people, changed them, taught them that knowledge is precious, worth fighting for, worth dying for. And those people carried that lesson forward into their lives, their work, their choices, and it spread like the ash, like the seeds, like the ripples, outward, forever, never stopping, never ending, always growing, always transforming, always becoming something new, while remaining, at its core, the same essential truth. Knowledge is light, and light cannot be extinguished, only shared until everyone can see. You're drifting now, sleep pulling you under, the gentle rocking of the ship, the sound of water, the warmth of sun on your skin, and you let go, let yourself fall into rest, into dreams, into the deep place where understanding lives, where lessons integrate, where what you witnessed becomes who you are. And as you fall, you hear a voice, not external, but internal, the voice of wisdom, the voice of truth, the voice that speaks when you're quiet enough to listen. It says, you came seeking answers, but you found questions, better questions. You came seeking knowledge, but you found wisdom. The wisdom that all things pass, all things change, all things transform. But the essence endures. The light continues. The quest goes on. You're part of it now, not just a witness, but a participant, a carrier, a link. Remember what you saw. Remember what you saw. Feel what you felt. Understand what you learned. And when you wake, when you return to your time and your life and your world, carry it forward. Share it. Pass it on. Keep the flame alive, not for reward, not for recognition, but because it's right, because it's necessary, because it's who you are now. A graduate of the Library of Alexandria, not in body, but in spirit. And that's what matters. That's what lasts. That's what makes a difference. And you sleep, deep, peaceful, dreamless. The sleep of someone who has witnessed truth, who has touched mystery, who has understood, if only for a moment, how everything connects, how every action ripples outward, how the past shapes the present, how the present creates the future, how we're all linked, all part of the same story, the human story, the story of the species that learned to preserve what it knows, to teach what it learned, to build on what came before, to reach always higher, always farther, all and maybe even after. Sleep now. Rest now. You've earned it. You've traveled far, seen much, understood deeply. Let it all settle. Let it become part of your foundation, part of your being, so that when you wake, you'll be ready. Ready to carry the invisible legacy forward. Ready to be a living library. Ready to hold what you know lightly enough to share, but firmly enough to protect. Ready to be what the world needs, a keeper of knowledge, a sharer of wisdom, a believer in truth, a carrier of light. The ship sails on, through water, through time, through the space between then and now, between there and here, between who you were and who you've become. And the journey, though it seems to be ending, is really just beginning. Because once you've touched the eternal, once you've understood the invisible legacy, once you've seen how everything connects, you can't go back, can't unknow, can't return to innocence. You can only go forward, carrying what you've learned, sharing what you know, being the change you wish to see, being the library the world needs. And somewhere, in the eternal now where time doesn't exist, the old librarian smiles, because another has understood, another has been changed, another has joined the invisible community of those who know, who see, who carry forward the mission, the dream, the commitment to light in the darkness, to knowledge in ignorance, to truth in lies, to understanding in confusion. The library didn't die, it multiplied into millions of human hearts, including yours, especially yours, because you were willing to see, willing to feel, willing to change. Welcome home. Welcome to the invisible library. The library that can never burn. The library that is eternal. The library that is you. And me. And all of us. Together. Forever. As long as there are humans who wonder. Who ask. Who care. And you're one of them now. One of us. Forever. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome home. Conclusion. The grand reward. You wake, slowly, gently. The way you wake from a dream you don't want to leave. Your eyes open. You're in your own bed, your own room, your own time. The journey is over. Or is it? Because everything is different now. The same room, the same walls, the same morning light, but you're not the same. You've been changed, transformed by what you witnessed, by what you understood, by what you now carry inside you. You sit up, and immediately the memories flood back. The library, the scholars, the fire, the old librarian, the ash, the ruins, the invisible legacy. All of it. Clear, vivid, more real than many things that actually happened to you. And you realize it doesn't matter if it was dream or vision or imagination. The truth it taught you is real. The understanding you gained is real. The change in you is real. And that's what matters. You remember what the old librarian said about the secret, the deepest secret. And now, in the clarity of morning, you understand it fully. The Library of Alexandria didn't burn once. It burned multiple times, over centuries, different fires, different causes, sometimes war, sometimes accident, sometimes deliberate suppression, but always, always the same underlying reason. Fear. Fear of what happens when people have access to knowledge. Fear of what happens when they learn to think. Fear of what happens when they question the way things are and imagine how things could be different. That fear is eternal. It exists in every age, including yours, including now. But here's the secret within the secret. The library survived. Not the building, not the scrolls, but the idea, the mission, the commitment. Because enough people believed it mattered. Enough people copied texts. Enough people taught the next generation. Enough people refused to let ignorance win. That's the cause and effect. That's the karmic law. Suppression creates resistance. Burning creates copying. Destruction creates determination to preserve. The harder you try to kill an idea, the stronger it becomes. Because ideas don't live in buildings. They live in people. And people are stubborn. People refuse to forget. People insist on passing forward what they know, even at great cost, even at great risk. Because some things matter more than safety, more than comfort, more than life itself. And knowledge is one of those things. You think about your own time, your own world, and you see the same pattern. Books being banned, schools being defunded, teachers being attacked, science being denied, truth being called fake, history being rewritten. The same fear, the same suppression, the same attempt to control what people know, what they think, what they question. It's not ancient history. It's happening now, today. The battle that was fought in Alexandria is still being fought. In school boards, in legislatures, in courtrooms, in social media, everywhere. The forces that fear knowledge haven't gone away. They've just changed tactics. But neither has the resistance. The librarians still preserve, the teachers still teach, the students still learn, the writers still write, the thinkers still think, the questioners still question. Despite the attacks, despite the threats, despite the difficulty. Because they understand what the old librarian understood. That this matters. That knowledge is not a luxury, but a necessity. That enlightenment is not optional, but essential. That thinking is not dangerous, but liberating. And liberation is worth fighting for, worth preserving, worth dying for if necessary. And here's the ultimate lesson, the grand reward for making this entire journey. You have a choice, every day, every moment. You can be part of the suppression, or part of the preservation. You can be part of the burning, or part of the copying. You can be part of the fear, or part of the courage. You can hoard what you know, or share it. You can accept easy lies, or seek difficult truths. You can stay comfortable in ignorance, or risk discomfort in learning. You can be a closed book or an open library. The choice is yours. Always yours. And the choice matters because you're not just choosing for yourself. You're choosing for everyone who comes after you. Everyone who will be shaped by what you preserve or fail to preserve, what you share or fail to share, what you teach or fail to teach. The library lives in you now, not metaphorically, actually. You are a library. Your mind holds knowledge. Your heart holds wisdom. Your life demonstrates understanding. And when you share what you know, when you teach what you learned, when you pass forward what was given to you, you become Alexandria. You become the dream made real. The mission continued. The light passed on. That's your purpose. That's your calling. That's your contribution to the invisible legacy that spans all of humanity across all of time. The fire taught you about impermanence, that everything changes, everything ends, everything transforms. And that's not tragedy, but truth, not curse, but nature, not something to fear, but something to accept. Because acceptance brings peace, and peace brings wisdom, and wisdom brings the ability to love what's temporary without being destroyed when it ends, to build what's fragile without being devastated when it breaks, to learn what can be forgotten without despairing when memory fades. Because the essence survives, the core remains, the light continues. In new forms, in new people, in new expressions, but always, always, fundamentally the same. The human hunger to know, to understand, to make meaning, to seek truth. That hunger is eternal. You're carrying it. You're feeding it. By being here. By listening. By learning. By caring enough to follow this story to its end. So what now? Now you live. You go back to your life, your work, your relationships, your daily routines. But you go back changed. You see things differently now. You understand that nothing is permanent. That everything you love will someday be gone. But that doesn't make it less precious. It makes it more precious. Because temporary is all we have. All we ever have. This moment, this breath, this choice, this opportunity to learn or teach or share or create or preserve. That's all there is. And it's enough. More than enough. It's everything. If you want to continue this journey, if you want to explore more mysteries of history, more forgotten places, more lessons from the past that illuminate the present, then stay with this channel. Subscribe if you haven't. Because there are more stories to tell, more places to visit, more wisdom to discover. The Library of Alexandria is just one stop. There's Babylon, Athens, Angkor, Machu Picchu, countless others, all waiting, all holding lessons, all ready to teach those willing to listen, to feel, to understand, to change. And if this story meant something to you, if it touched you, if it changed you even a little, then pass it on. Share it. Tell someone else. Not because I need views or subscribers, though those help, but because the mission continues. The library grows, the light spreads. One person at a time, one story at a time, one understanding at a time. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. That's how knowledge survives. Through sharing, through caring, through humans connecting with other humans and passing forward what matters. So go now, live your life, but carry this with you, the understanding that you're part of something larger, something eternal, something that began before you were born and will continue after you die. The great human project of seeking truth and sharing wisdom and building understanding. You're a link in that chain, and your link matters. What you do with what you know matters. How you live with what you understand matters. You matter. Never forget that. Never doubt that. You are the library. You are the light. You are the legacy. And the world needs you. Needs what you know. Needs what you can share. Needs your voice, your perspective, your contribution. Don't hold back. Don't play small. Don't hide your light under a basket. Shine. Teach. Share. Be the library you wish existed. Be the light you needed when you were in darkness. Be the answer to someone else's question. That's how we honor what was lost. That's how we ensure it wasn't lost in vain. That's how we keep the library alive, forever, in us, through us, as us. The story ends here, but your story continues. The library burned, but the library lives, in you, in me, in all of us who choose to remember, to preserve, to share, to shine. Go now, and carry the light, wherever you go, whatever you do, however long you live. Carry it, share it, pass it on. That's the grand reward, not something you receive, but something you become. A carrier of light, a keeper of knowledge, a living library. Welcome to the eternal mission. Welcome to the invisible legacy. Welcome to the family of those who know, who see, who understand, who refuse to let the light go out. Welcome home.